Passing on to our last segment, Africa is rising. We all know there are news out there that shows that Africa is growing. And one of the things that is happening here in our continent, Africa, that is a huge deal is Agenda 2063. But really, how many of us know about Agenda 2063? Agenda 2063 is a strategic framework that works for the development of Africa, that inclusive African growth and development for Africa. It has like 50-year plan starting from 2013 up to 2063. So the plan goes 10 year each. It goes for like 5 rounds. And when we talk about the Agenda 2063, it has 7 main aspirations that it focuses on. For example, it is creating that prosperous Africa. For example, the first one is creating prosperous Africa through inclusive growth, which helps to reduce the poverty that we have. The second one is creating good governance, human rights, democracy, rule of law, justice, all those things that happen by creating that good governance. And the other one we can mention is creating politically integrated Africa through good governance and then the participation of youth when it comes to the political space. And also there are other things, I've just mentioned a few. When we talk about how we can make these aspirations come to reality, or what kind of ways are we using to make that plan come to reality, or how we implement it, again, there are different mechanisms. The first one is African Continental Free Trade Area, or AFCFTA. This is something that's very huge. It tries to connect Africa, or it tries to create that intra-trade and the free movement of goods and services within Africa. Because as we know, Africa trades more outside of the continent than it trades within each countries. So it tries to create that strong economic ties between African countries. The second one is creating really high-speed railways to connect major African cities so that transportation won't be a problem when we want to travel from one country to another. The other one is creating one passport for the whole continent. As we know, each African country has their own passport they use. But when it comes to the continent-wise, we don't have one single passport. So that is one of the mechanisms that we use to implement some of the aspirations that I have mentioned and the others too. When it comes to the actual contribution of Agenda 2063 for African growth, the first one is intra-trade. As I've told you, economic strength or economic independency is really important to create that power that we want. We Africans trade more outside of the continent than we trade within the continent. So as of 2010, only 10% of intra-trade was happening. And 2019, and that percentage grew to over 16% intra-trade within Africa. That is a huge growth. The other one is economic development. The general GDP of Africa is over $2.6 trillion. And it is expected for that amount of money to grow to $29 trillion by 2050 by creating that intra-trade and also by creating different policies that will help investors invest in Africa. Other than that, we can mention job employment, because when we talk about railways that are being constructed because of the Agenda 2063, a lot of people are employed because of that project. And when we talk about healthcare, it is really important to work on that sector, because that is one of the criteria that we need to have in order to live that kind of life standard, or the quality of our life. In 2017, there was over 542 maternal deaths in every 100,000 people. And it is being worked on to decrease the number 542 over 70 people like maternal death, which is a very significant change. Because, as I've told you, a lot of people lose their life, a lot of mothers lose their life during birth. And decreasing that is one of the signs of growth in one place or in one continent. So we can mention that. Besides those things, we can mention electricity. We can mention, as I've told you, the economies the economy itself can be diversified in a lot of spheres. But in general, Agenda 2063 is working to engage the youth in the development process, is trying to create that space for the youth, for the coming generation, to be creative enough to have their own print in creating the Africa we want. Within the coming My Africa episodes, we would dive deeper into Agenda 2063 by engaging different officials, bodies that are responsible for this agenda. And this is a few things that I have mentioned, but there are a lot of things that we can learn and we can contribute to actually make Agenda 2063 aim happen before the deadline. So guys, this is what I had for you guys this week on My Africa episode. I hope you guys enjoyed and got a new angles of seeing things, of understanding life, and I can't wait to see you guys next week with a brand fresh new episode. But until then, I have to say goodbye. And if you have any comments with the topics that we have brought from all of our segments, or if you have any suggestions, any guests that you prefer for us to have on our show, please feel free to let us know on our short SMS 6121. And as in for our digital media audiences, please let us know what you think about this episode below this video. Again, thank you so much for watching, and thank you People's Fashion for making me look this good. And thank you Malaika, Africa Cuisine, and Grill for this amazing breakfast. I will keep enjoying my dish, and thank you so much for watching us again. Till I see you guys next week. Goodbye.